We're here at 75 Browns Road, Kurwongbah, with the owner, Rule, and we're going to have a chat through the infrastructure and the benefits and features of the property and everything it has to offer. Quite a unique property. Welcome, Rule.
Thank you.
So we've had a walk around the property,
Yep.
and I'd like you to talk me through some of the more intricate details that
Yep.
you know. You've got a solar system there, which you said off-grid. What does that mean?
Well, basically it means that all the electricity from the sun goes into the batteries, and then when we're using power, we use batteries first, and when the batteries are empty, then we take from the grid and use the grid as like a backup. So in total, we've got about 21 kilowatts of solar panels and 80 kilowatts of batteries.
Wow. So effectively, if the power went out,
It doesn't matter, no, correct.
matter, yeah.
So in theory, we could, run indefinitely if we weren't too crazy with our air cons without actually getting power off the grid.
Wow, that's great. Okay. We walked past a little pond that I
Yes.
saw, and you said there was a swale or something.
Okay, so we've got a small pond/dam, which is basically like a filter. So you'll see there's a lot of trees and a lot of shrubbery around it, and it's designed so the water hits it and it swirls, and then basically the rubbish and the junk and the sludge will remain there, and then the clean water will go out, overflow from that, and then go into what's called a swale. Swale is on contour, which means it's dead flat, and it fills up with water and then overflows into the dam. But then it remains full of water, and that water actually penetrates into the soil.
Okay.
So
Dam. So how big is that?
very big. It's
How many
it's
litres?
about 1.5 million litres is what we
So megalitres,
have.
1.5 megalitres, I think?
About that, yeah. So it's about almost 30 metres from one end to the other end, and almost 20 metres in the opposite direction. The deepest point's about 6.5 metres.
Wow.
So we have the dam, and the dam has two permanent pumps. One is a firefighting pump that we can turn on. We can actually pump 2-inch lines straight up to the main house, so we can fight around the house and the residents. And then the second one is an irrigation pump, which is hooked up to all of our gardens. So we can basically open timers and do different sections of the property with however much water we want. That runs at about 210 litres a minute, which is a lot. And that's enough to do all 350 vines at once, or do the other 2 veggie gardens as well, the permaculture gardens as well.
So while we're on water, because you're off-grid solar,
Yes.
what about drinking water and water to service the property?
So we have 7 22,700 litre tanks of drinking water, and then we have an additional 2 32,000 litre tanks of drinking water. And that's on 2 systems. One does the bed and breakfast and the workers' accommodation, and the other one does the main house.
Okay.
And at the moment we're all totally full. So the last drought we didn't really run out, which is good.
Excellent. You've got a huge permaculture garden
Yes.
area. What is permaculture? How does that?
Okay.
Well, a brief history of permaculture.
The purpose of the original permaculture garden is to get as much out of a small area as possible and recycle the nutrients so that it keeps on building up and building the soil.
Yeah.
So the gentleman I bought it off was a soil scientist. He spent, I think he said it took him about 20 years to complete this garden. So he lived here for 13 years, but he'd been studying for 7 years before that.
Wow.
So the whole idea of it is to use plants that are complementary, that build the soil, and to have a fungal growth instead of a bacterial growth. It basically means more like forest than grassland if you study the soil. So there's a half acre of that's been here for about 15 years now, and then we planted another half acre about 2 years ago.
Okay. And you've got some wicking garden beds.
Yes,
in there?
wicking garden beds is vegetable gardens that don't need much watering because they have wicks that suck moisture out of a reservoir in the bottom.
Excellent. You're quite self-sufficient, aren't you?
Yes, the goal is that in theory we wouldn't have to import any food. You could live off this property if you're a bit frugal and a bit clever and a bit organised. Oh, the beehives, yeah, we're back to the beehives. So we have two European beehives, which have both got 4 boxes each. Last year, before the drought hit, we were getting about 15 kilos a month out of those 2 hives. And they're a flow hive, which basically means that you don't really need to get in and dig out the hive. You just turn a tap and basically honey comes out, and you close it up again, and you wait another month and there's new honey in theory.
Easy. That's very good.
Then we also have 2 native beehives, which you can actually get the native honey from, but usually you destroy the hive when you do it, so we don't. We just leave them there because they're good for the gardens.
Yeah, you've got another shed down there which has got an office, but you've converted that at the moment into a retreat.
Yes, so my
families
parents
and
are
stuff.
living in the retreat, but technically it's an office.
Yep.
And then there's also a 9x8 shed there, 9x10 shed there as well.
So you've also got then so much of this property. You've then got 4 workers' accommodations, which all have
Yes.
a bedroom and ensuite.
Yes.
So what's the deal with council and legislation? How do you?
Okay, so
workers got
that's an approved workers' accommodation by council, which basically means that anyone who lives there is obligated to work on the property. It's an approved workers' accommodation, so anyone who works on the property at all can legally go there.
So B&B. So you've got
4 bed and breakfast units. 3 of them are identical, and one of them's got a disabled bathroom.
Okay.
So the 3 identical ones all have a king bed. All 4 units have their own view of the lakefront. At the moment, the lake's a little bit low, but we're hoping now that they finally finished all the repair works on the lake that it'll be full from now on.
Yeah. And that it has a nice view then to the vineyard.
Correct.
as well.
Yes, the vineyard is off to your left, so it's a very pretty view. All the rooms have rocking chairs and pillows, so you go and sit out there in your rocking chair and drink your glass of wine and look at the beautiful view.
Yeah.
Most days you'll see koalas, kangaroos and or deer, especially kangaroos and deer every day, and if you look really hard you'll see koalas pretty regularly as well. There's a 15-person advanced secondary septic system, which is a very efficient way of cleaning water. It's about 9-stage filtration. And basically all the water from the bed and breakfast side of things all gets filtered, and then we actually pump it out into another custard apple garden, which is basically custard apples. Even though you can eat the fruit, you may or may not want to, but they're really good at absorbing moisture, so it really keeps the brown there from getting slodgy. So that's actually the purpose of the custard apples, as opposed to really eating them, although in theory you could.
Interesting. Roll for walking us through the property.
My
giving us
pleasure.
A bit more explanation and detail for our buyers out there. Come along to an open home. We'd love to see you.